In the crucible of the 18th century, a new world was stirring, a place of rugged wilderness and boundless ambition, across 13 colonies, scattered along the Atlantic coast. A unique identity was being forged. These weren't just British outposts. They were becoming something new. Something American, but this fledgling spirit was about to be tested. From London, King George III and his parliament saw the colonies as a source of revenue, a means to pay for the costly 7 Years' War fought partly on their behalf. The Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts one by one, new taxes were levied, not by the colonists' own elected assemblies, but by a distant government in which they had no voice. A simple but powerful phrase began to echo in the taverns and town squares: no taxation without representation. This wasn't just about money, it was about a fundamental right. The tension simmered, then boiled over. In Boston, a city buzzing with defiance, royal troops clashed with citizens in the streets. The Boston Massacre, as it came to be known, sent shockwaves through the colonies. Then, on a frigid December night in 1773, a group of men, disguised as Mohawk Indians, boarded 3 ships in Boston Harbor. In a bold act of protest, they heaved 342 chests of tea into the dark, churning water. The Boston Tea Party was not just defiance, it was a declaration. Britain's response was swift and harsh. They closed the port, dissolved the local government, and placed Massachusetts under military rule. The intolerable acts, as the colonists called them, were meant to crush the rebellion. Instead, they fanned the flames. Delegates from across the colonies gathered in Philadelphia for the First Continental Congress. They were lawyers, farmers, and merchantmen like the passionate John Adams of Massachusetts, the wise and worldly Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania, and the quiet, thoughtful Virginian, Thomas Jefferson. They initially sought reconciliation, a way to mend the bond with the mother country, but the crown was unyielding. The first shots rang out at Lexington and Concord. The time for petitions was over. The time for war had begun. A Second Continental Congress was convened, and this time, the mood had shifted. They appointed a tall, imposing Virginian planter, George Washington, as commander-in-chief of a new Continental Army, an army that, at this point, barely existed. Washington was a man of quiet dignity and unwavering resolve, qualities that would be tested to their absolute limit in the years to come, as Washington headed north to take command. The debate in Philadelphia intensified. In the sweltering summer of 1776, a formal proposal was put on the floor that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states. It was a terrifying, treasonous idea. To fail meant a hangman's noose. A committee of 5 was chosen to draft the declaration, but the task of writing it fell primarily to the 33-year-old Jefferson. For days, he holed himself up, quill scratching furiously on parchment. He didn't just list grievances, he articulated a philosophy of human liberty that would change the world. He wrote of self-evident truths, that all men are created equal, endowed with inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He argued that governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. It was a radical, revolutionary creed. On July 2nd, the Congress voted for independence. John Adams, in a letter to his wife Abigail, wrote that the day will be the most memorable epoch in the history of America. I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival. 2 days later, on July 4th, after some debate and revisions, they formally adopted Jefferson's masterpiece, the Declaration of Independence. As the delegates stepped forward to sign, they knew they were pledging, as the document said, our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. The bell in the Pennsylvania State House, later known as the Liberty Bell, rang out, heralding the birth of a new nation. But a declaration is just words on paper. Winning the freedom it proclaimed would require a long and brutal war. The Continental Army, a ragtag force of volunteers, faced the mightiest military machine on earth. The early years were filled with one devastating defeat after another. Washington's army was pushed out of New York, forced into a desperate retreat across New Jersey. Morale plummeted. Many believed the cause was lost. In the freezing winter of 1776, as his army huddled in frozen camps, Washington faced his darkest hour. With his soldiers' enlistments about to expire, he needed a victory, a miracle. On a freezing Christmas night, he gambled everything. He led his starving, poorly equipped troops across the treacherous, ice-choked Delaware River. They surprised and defeated a garrison of Hessian mercenaries at Trenton. It was a small victory, but its impact was immense. It was a jolt of hope, a signal that the rebellion was not dead. It demonstrated the sheer grit of Washington's leadership and the resilience of the American spirit. This was the turning point. Inspired by the American cause and a key victory at Saratoga, France joined the war as an ally, providing crucial naval and military support. The tide began to shift. Years of grueling warfare followed, from the frozen valley of Valley Forge to the sun-scorched fields of the South. Finally, in 1781, with the help of the French fleet, Washington trapped the main British army under Lord Cornwallis at Yorktown, Virginia. Pounded by land and blockaded by sea, Cornwallis had no choice but to surrender. As the British soldiers laid down their arms, their band is said to have played the tune, "The World Turned Upside Down." And indeed, it had. The signing of the Declaration was the promise. The victory at Yorktown was the proof. The news spread across the globe, an electrifying message that a people could choose their own destiny, that a republic could be born from the ashes of monarchy. The American experiment had begun. It was an imperfect beginning, marked by the hypocrisy of proclaiming liberty while upholding slavery, a contradiction that would haunt the nation for generations. Yet, the ideals enshrined in 1776 equality, liberty, and self-governance became a beacon of hope for people everywhere, from the French Revolution to independence movements across the centuries. The birth of the United States of America was a shot heard round the world, a testament to the enduring power of an idea. Thank you for joining us on this journey back in time. If you found this story inspiring, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the moments that shaped our world. We'll see you in the next one.